Around the time me and my wife met, I've been writing this wacky sort of 20 prankster story in this here drawl. And I probably got that idea to write that in that dialect on account of my high school taught out Huck Finn. My English teacher taught that was some sort of real great writing Twain was doing, so I figure I'd give it a try. So I write another mere prankster's joint and stuff it on the yonder mattress for safekeeping until I find an illustrator. Recently I dig it out, make voice recording of chapters in this here drawl. Figure folks, ain't no Mike can't read no good so much no more. Since them screens be soaking up all their attention. And while I reading that story in the microphone, Sang Tong gets laughing real hard. Says this here voice sound like big belly talk. And I kinda like that. Small belly okay most of the time, but big belly's just as good or better too. And all in all, I think laughing good for the heart and mind. Just 'cause something funny don't mean it ain't true, no can't be enlightening. So I was gonna narrate this one with the big belly voice. Now I've been starting these videos with short introduction about where we came from, where we've been living, how we found ourselves on the road driving a giant circle around a beautiful country in the middle of epic pandemic, and showing up both Sang Tong and I from some beautiful places. She growing up on side of a mountain next to jungle where they used to have the most incredible flower farms. That is, until government done shut down the only money-making farm anybody around there ever heard of. Rumor has it that government and military couldn't stand the idea of villages of heterosexual florists. Said it threatened their masculinity or something silly like that. All that aside, she done seen some beautiful things in her life before meeting me, before I got off that bus at the right stop that day in 2007. And we've been round the world together visiting places from other cultures and way of lives since round about that time. Well, at least after I got a decent job, found myself a little bit of money, we can make some travel, make some treks, see this here earth. And we've seen all kinds of amazing wonderful things and lived to tell about it, tell friends and family, like the 25 or so people what might could watch this here video. They calling it public, but I know it's kind of private at the same time, and thank you. Now, Sang Tong's name means sun gold, or gold sun. Either way, I think it kind of like manna from heaven or something like that. Now, she got nickname in her first language in the Karen Hill tribe there, where they call her Mumu. Yeah, kind of like the big dress Big Mama been wearing to feel cute and comfortable. But Mumu actually mean good feeling in that Karen language. And she got a nickname in her second language, Thailand, what don't really mean nothing but a sound. But Nook showing off means small place in English. So put 'em all together and you get what I've been looking at since that day I met her after getting off that bus. Something like a treasure from outer space wrapped up in a real cute and small package that make me feel good, even if that sort of thing ain't for everybody. Now, I done said I was from the home of the automobile over there in Detroit, and that state looked like it been high-fiving everybody all the time. Biggest bunch of fresh waters in the world over there, lots of forests and pretty things to look at. And Sang Tong coming from Thailand over near Myanmar. And she obviously seen colorful birds and flowers and plants and rocks and things all her life. But that don't mean we feel like we seen everything and can't learn nothing. So we've been trying to experience our world while we got a good chance. So when schedule freed up there in summer 2021, we boogied out our home here in Saudi Arabia and took off down the road in our Dodge Charger. What might, shoulda, coulda been Volkswagen Jetta if the Enterprise rent-a-car lady ain't hooked us up with that boss ride Charger. And I surely was appreciating that upgrade. On that road trip on account of, I'm sure my butt would have been hurting something serious if it weren't for that leather bucket seat there in the Dodge. And so we done passed through all sorts of states, stopping by Kentucky, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, maybe what my Arab brothers might call the Alabama, and passed through Mississippi and Louisiana, stay in Texas and smell their bullshit, on the way out to New Mexico. And I hope folks in New Mexico ain't trying to keep them Mexicans out, by the way. That would be too ironic even for me. Then we walked down a big hole in the ground with a little trickle of water way down to the bottom. And then out into California, see big tree and rock with a little river run through. Then up through Oregon, Washington, see another man I call brother for a reason maybe only he know anymore. Then into Idaho, Montana, what our Thai people might be calling Montana. And we was losing track of time and space by the time we headed to Earthquake Lake in West Yellowstone. You can rest assured, just as we crisscrossed that country, saw that landscape, that I was getting a great big sense of how hard life must have been for natives a long time ago, and how I feel a spiritual connection with that land, and it'd be damn shame for sure what done went down in that land. Can't words explain nothing about why could that mess gone down, and ain't nobody said nothing or stopped them from doing all them damn wrongs. But like Jerry Garcia and them said, like a steam locomotive rolling down the track, he's gone and nothing gonna bring him back. Least Mumu I can do is be honest about it, recognize the facts, and don't forget what it must have been like to have soul ripped out as their land was occupied and taken over and bought and sold to anyone but who was the owner. All the while folk talking about inviolability, private property rights, and God, men being created equal and all that mess. And I suppose I could go on and on about that. But we drove true knowing what we know and finding the land still full of spirit and things. It live on no matter what the people in charge. Figure old grandma and grandpa on the red, rest easy at night knowing they done their best. Damn shame though. Now I done explained about how fully booked the parks was, especially with the COVID closures and restrictions, and Yellowstone was certainly no exception to that trend. I done searched all around the country in April looking to book camp spots in early June, couldn't nearly find even one place near the park. So we figured we'd just stand outside of Earthquake Lake, West Yellowstone. We hike and jog around and take pictures before heading into the park, and maybe we find a spot out there in the east at the Forest Service, where they got force come, force serve, non-reservable sites or something. Or maybe we figure we pitch tent illegally on the side of the road, and if we have to. But we go in Yellowstone and see that natural world, what we travel so far to see, that's for sure. Now, Grand Canyon, beautiful and wonderful, and Yosemite astonishing too. But at this point in the trip, all these parks we stay at been sort of one note. They either desert or forest, mountain or plain, got river, lake or ocean. They got deer, buffalo, elk or something. But what we find in Yellowstone unlike anything else in the world, as far as we know. All them other parks like Prince's and Dukes and Oils and something like that, but Yellowstone king of the parks in our opinion. And we ain't been true to the rest of Wyoming where most of the park located, but whoo-wee, it must be nice because Yellowstone got lots of notes. All them other parks got mostly just one note, but Yellowstone got all sorts, so many you could write a symphony. Got trees and forests and lakes and rivers and buffaloes and bulls and deer and caribou. And most incredibly, they got something almost nowhere else in the universe got. They got that geothermal activity. Got geysers and lakes and pools boiling and bubbling and steaming and erupting. Got sulfur and elements, what shine like rubies and emeralds and sapphires and diamonds and amethysts, especially when the sun hit 'em just right. Now, it's a big park, and we ain't had time to see but a fraction of it, and we wasn't really excited about driving some 2 hours away from the main part of the park out to the eastern edge to look for a campground. So as soon as we passed through the gate on the west, I stopped at the main campsite there just to ask if they got a spot or two for two lonely travelers. And mashallah, alhamdulillah, praise God Almighty, something like that. Ain't nothing short of some kind of road trip miracle. They got room for us at the park, so we happy. And much to my surprise, even though it right there in a busy tourist destination, they even got a little spot in the woods to poop. If in the outhouse be full, you don't feel like squatting in some public bowl again. Beautiful feeling out there in Yellowstone. So we get into the park without having to drive hours to and from, and we get to see most sunrises and sunsets and buffalo and what crossing the road and taking dirt bath and scaring tourists here and there. And we roll up to Old Faithful just in time. Don't even have to sit around and wait in the rain before it erupts. I take some indescribably beautiful pictures, one of them hanging on Dad's wall right now. And if it weren't for absolutely awful cellular service in these rural areas, I'd have video called my family and friends so they could see what we were seeing. But some folks think that only roads and military is infrastructure. Never mind folks stranded out in the boonies with no online school or job opportunities now. Never mind that millions of tourists be visiting these parks. For some reason, neither government nor private sector been trying to deploy communication technology. What could unite the nation and drive more economic growth in rural areas, especially now. But I suppose they too busy watching their favorite entertainment news stations on right and left, and just about nobody really telling the whole story, so folks is confused. But that don't change the fact that I was paying so damn near $200 a month between T-Mobile and Verizon, nationwide coverage they proclaiming, and still couldn't hardly get signal nowhere on our road trip, except in cities where we ain't trying to visit on account of don't drink none. So what do we care about most of the nightlife? I mean, I sure do like to dance. I cut a rug every now and then. But I ain't trying to catch no case and bring it back to Mom and Pa and get sick for flying off around the world and bring pandemic even worse to other places around. Times like these, a little more internet reception sure would have been nice. I mean, it ain't like we wasn't paying for it. And to be true, we wouldn't have been able to plan and execute this road trip without internet, maps, bookings, some music podcasts, and such be nice on the road too. But even then, I had to save the maps and the music and the podcast just to make sure I didn't lose them when we got out of range. I didn't want to take off on the wrong road, not make it to our campsite, or whether over yonder mountain or in the hollow or canyon or wherever, outside a concrete jungle where the internet was fine, but everywhere else, well, I wouldn't exactly call it reliable. Folks need to get their priorities straight, if you ask me. But aside from that, we had all in all a wonderful time there at Yellowstone, and like everything else, we want to stay longer. Fell in love more deeply with them pools reflecting their blue waters, bubbling up, just like our hearts find everything, spirits bubbling up out of the universe. But just like those other places, we got a taste of it, and we could decide if we want to go back, and surely we will go back at Yellowstone, spend a week or two, more see the falls, the mountains, the pastures and meadows, the buffalo and bison, the snow caps and the hot springs, the beauty and the bounty of the natural world together all the way. And all those same time in the passenger seat the whole time. It ain't like she just my passenger, neither. She my co-captain. And that's a real good feeling for me to know and hold.